Begin, though, with a weekend of violence in America. President Joe Biden will travel to Buffalo, New York tomorrow after 10 people were killed and 3 others hurt in what appears to be a racist attack at a supermarket.
The accused gunman is 18 years old. Authorities say he's being held in isolation and is on suicide watch as the community mourns loved ones who were apparently targeted because of the color of their skin.
This is an absolute racist hate crime. It will be prosecuted as a hate crime. This is someone who has hate in their heart, soul, and mind.
It was just one of many mass shootings over the weekend. In Southern California, 1 person is dead and 5 others were hurt after a shooting at a meeting of Asian churchgoers. Members of the congregation were able to subdue the suspect and hogtie him until deputies arrived. The motivations in that shooting are currently unknown. We have live team coverage from both of those attacks with NBC News correspondent Gotti Schwartz in California and Jesse Kirsch in Buffalo, New York. Jesse, let's begin with you. So what is the latest on the ground there? What are you hearing from people who live in this community?
Hey, good morning, Joe. It's a sad morning here in Buffalo. This is the front page of the Buffalo News, a raw city trying to heal. And you can see behind us here that this supermarket where this carnage is said to have unfolded is still blocked off, still taped off with police on the scene. So this is still an active crime scene more than a day after authorities say 10 people were killed, another 3 shot in what is being called a hate crime, a racially motivated attack in the city of Buffalo, New York. People have questions. People are sharing all kinds of emotions out here. There have been candlelight vigils. There have been community groups meeting. There have been community groups trying to provide some kind of comfort. But there are questions from people. Where does this kind of alleged hate come from? How could something like this happen? And also, how do you move forward? These are the things that people are talking about. Some of what we've heard from residents here in Buffalo that we want to share with you from yesterday.
I saw the gunman and I seen the 3 people that when I was walking in the store, they was laid out on the ground dead. So the people that was in, if we would have walked in 3 minutes later, we probably would have been dead with them because everybody that was fronting the store, he killed them.
You think you were minutes away from being killed?
Yes, I know I was. I know we was. I was thinking God must have protected us because I don't know how we made it out the parking lot in that store before because it happened like seconds. We got in the store and then you start hearing gunshots.
This is a woman who said she went into the store right as the shooting was beginning to unfold, and she told me she walked in, saw people alive, and when she came out, Joe, they were dead.
Unreal. Jesse, you mentioned that that's an active crime scene behind you there. We know this investigation is still in its early stages. What are detectives focused on right now?
Well, we know that authorities are looking at an alleged manifesto that the suspect purportedly had put together leading up to this attack. This manifesto containing racist, anti-Semitic tropes. It also claims that the suspect became radicalized in an extremist forum in the early days of the pandemic because he was bored, Joe, because he was bored with what was going on in the world.
And Jesse, what is it we're learning about the victims in this situation in Buffalo?
We know that the youngest person shot, according to authorities, was 20 years old. The youngest person killed was 32, and the oldest person killed was 86. But specifically, we know that there was this hero security guard, Aaron Salter, who authorities say was a former Buffalo police officer. And you can see a photo of him there, along with the other 9 people who were killed. And you'll also notice that many of the people in this image, and we're told by authorities, 11 of the 13 people in total who were shot were black. Again, that authorities believe this was racist and hate-filled, this attack. Aaron Salter, though, we're told, engaged with the suspect, shot back at the suspect, but because the suspect had heavy armor on, according to authorities, in tactical gear, it did not stop him from continuing the rampage, but he's being hailed as a hero, Aaron Salter, for trying to stop the suspect and potentially saving lives. Aaron Salter, unfortunately, was among those who was shot and killed.
A hero among so many lives lost. Jesse Kirsch, thank you so much for your reporting from Buffalo. Appreciate it.
Let's now bring in NBC News legal analyst Danny Savalos for more on the shooting. Danny, good to have you with us. So New York State Police and the Justice Department are investigating this shooting as a hate crime and a case of racially motivated violent extremism. Walk us through what the legal implications are for classifying the mass shooting this way.
both the state of New York and the federal government have hate crimes legislation. They're not exactly the same. In New York, it's essentially an enhancement. But generally speaking, the definition is pretty similar. Essentially, prosecutors, state or federal, would have to prove that the bias against someone's race, national origin, gender, any of the protected classes was a but-for cause. In other words, if not for that person's race, the crime would not have been committed. That's from a recent Supreme Court case just a few years ago, analyzing what it exactly means to target someone because of their race. And the Supreme Court went a long way to define that, but it still is a tricky definition because, after all, in our American system of justice, normally motive is not an element of crime. Hate crimes are an exception to that rule because they do take motive and make it an element of a crime, which is why candidly, most prosecutors may not admit this, but they don't look to use hate crimes right away unless they know they can prove it, because it is a risky prosecution.
And Danny, we know the shooter is pleading not guilty to the attack. What kind of legal argument can a defense attorney make in a case like this? I mean, especially when in this case we have the fact that this was actually being live streamed by the shooter.
Look, and so far what I see is that he has the public defender, and, public defenders especially, they don't get to pick their facts. This might be eventually a plea agreement, or you might have a client in this situation who doesn't care and wants to go to trial at all costs. So even though it seems like the odds are against this defendant, at your initial appearance, you have to plead not guilty, if for no other reason than to have a bargaining chip to go into that office with the prosecutors and hopefully secure some kind of favorable plea bargain. But again, the client constitutionally has the absolute right to go to trial, even if it is a hopeless case, what we call in the defense business a dead bang loser.
Oh, interesting. Danny, I want to get more into the legal parameters here for a social media company like Twitch, one of the places this was being live streamed. What kind of scrutiny do you think they will face for having this live stream up for almost 2 minutes before it was taken down? And what kind of legal action could be taken, if any?
Generally speaking, websites that host this kind of activity, that allow users to post, are immune from liability under federal law. And of course, always is the case in technology that technology outpaces the law. I mean, a few years ago, the idea of live streaming an attack like this might have been unrealistic. But now this is a very real possibility, and we see that it has happened. Now, on the one hand, law enforcement loves this because it creates treasure troves of evidence to make their case airtight. But on the other hand, is there some form of liability for these companies that allow people to post but don't censor? Under federal law, probably not, but it doesn't mean there won't be increased scrutiny.
Danny, does this lead to a bigger conversation, in your opinion, in a legal context about social media companies needing to do a better job at regulating hate speech on their platforms? Between that conversation with Twitch, of course, we know this sort of manifesto posted to Google Docs. Do you think this could lead to new laws when it comes to speech in general?
Oh, yes, because existing laws will not achieve what those folks want who want social media companies to police their activity. In other words, social media companies generally don't have a huge responsibility to police what is posted on their websites because they're essentially protected by federal law. So if folks want that to change, the most direct way to do that is through the representative form of government. Change the law, create new federal legislation that decreases that protection for social media companies as it stands. Because once they get into creating content, they can be held liable. But as long as they're sitting back and saying, hey, our users just post whatever they want, they have a modicum, a small degree of protection that the rest of us, certainly a media company, would not have.
Danny Cevallos, as always, we so appreciate your expertise and analysis this morning. Now, Southern California is also reeling from gun violence this morning after a man opened fire at a meeting of Asian churchgoers on Sunday. 1 person died and 5 were injured, all of Asian descent. The suspect, who police described as an Asian man in his 60s, is currently in custody. Joining us now is NBC News correspondent Gadi Schwartz. Gadi, good morning. Thanks for being there for us. Now, this could have been much worse. If not, we know for the heroism of some in that congregation. Tell us what happened inside that church on Sunday.
Yeah, good morning, Savannah. Yesterday afternoon, it started off as a normal Sunday with a church banquet that was wrapping up with around 30 to 40 people. When police say right around 1:30, a man with two guns somehow had locked the indoors inside so people couldn't escape, and then opened fire. Witnesses say they saw people taking cover. Several elderly members were hit in the gunfire. And then when the gunman went to reload, the pastor who had earlier given this sermon took a chair and hit him over the head with it. Others rushed in to tackle the gunman, hogtie him with electrical cords. The sheriff's office says there is no doubt that they saved lives.
Wow. Just pretty incredible. Now, police.
We believe a group of churchgoers detained him and hogtied his legs with an extension cord and confiscated at least 2 weapons from him. He was detained when the deputies arrived. That group of churchgoers displayed what we believe is exceptional heroism and bravery in intervening to stop the suspect. They undoubtedly prevented additional injuries and fatalities.
Still such a horrible tragedy that could have been so much worse. Savannah?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, police have stressed that the investigation is in its early stages and they have not determined a motive. But what do we know at this point about the suspect and what's next for him?
At this point, we're still waiting to hear exactly who this gunman was, but according to local reports, it doesn't seem as though he was known to this congregation. Witnesses say that they saw him earlier in the day attending the church, even telling somebody that he had been there before, but this was somebody that they didn't recognize. And as you mentioned, the shooter is described in his 60s, of Asian descent. The sheriff says he does not appear to live in that area, but so far they haven't released his identity or any other details.
Now, 5 people were taken to the hospital, we mentioned, for gunshot wounds, all senior citizens. What do we know about their condition this morning?
Yeah, Savannah, almost all of the people who were shot were elderly. There were 4 men, a 92-year-old, an 82-year-old, a 75-year-old, as well as a man in his 60s, and an 86-year-old woman. All of them rushed to the hospital. Only one of them suffered from minor injuries. All the others are in critical condition. Savannah.
All right, Gotti Schwartz, thank you so much.
And more deadly violence over the weekend. 2 people were killed and 3 others were critically hurt after a shootout at a Houston area flea market Sunday. Authorities say the 5 people were involved in an altercation that quickly escalated when at least 2 people pulled out guns and started shooting. 2 men believed to be connected to the altercation died at the scene. 3 others, including one suspect, were rushed to the hospital. Another suspect was arrested at the scene.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.